Buying a home with handicaps. The advantages, the disadvantages, and smart strategies. Let's discuss this today. So, everyone, when they want to go buy a home, they look for a dream home. But a dream home comes at a dream home price. And so, people or everyone that is in the home buyer's market, they first start getting at the lowest possible number. And everybody thinks, can I get something that I can make it work? Can I start at a very low budget and go from there? And a lot of options abound. One, people try to look for foreclosures or short sales, not in the current market. Two, they try to see the lowest price property, maybe smaller size property, and then try to work it up. Number three, they try to find a property with handicaps. And that's where I'm going to keep my focus on today. So, let's talk about the advantages of buying a property with a handicap. The first advantage that you get, or you might think you will get by buying a property with a handicap, is you will probably get it for as cheap a price as possible. But watch out, here in the Bay Area, that's not always true. The moment you use the word fixer in the listing description, the traffic just jumps and pushes the price higher. So, not every handicap property you can get for cheap, and certainly not here in the Bay Area. So, but let's first talk the theory that you hope to get a property for cheap, then improve it, and somehow deal with the handicap or get out of the handicap, and by the time you sell it, the price gets up, increases much more than the average market, and you hope to build substantial equity. That's the advantage. So, you try to get in at a lower opportunity, you get in at a lower cost, and then you build it out and you get a much bigger gain. So in terms of percentage gains, theoretically, these properties will have substantial gains. That's the first and foremost advantage. The second advantage is you will typically get much less competition, because everyone in their mind want to buy a dream home, a dream property. They will typically have a little less number of eyeballs when you look at these properties. And so that kind of gives you a price advantage. So the first price advantage is because of the property being handicapped. The second price advantage comes because you see less eyeballs on it. And there are some cases where if the roof is leaking, a lender will not fund the property. Where if there are some major damages and no kitchen, no bathroom, there was one case which I was dealing with where they did not have a kitchen and a bathroom, a lender will not fund. So the buyer has to buy such properties for full cash or go to a hard money lender and then acquire the property, work it through, and then once it is ready, you can go and actually get a mortgage from regular sources which will be cheaper than what you would get from the hard money or buying full cash. So these are the three advantages that you will get. Now let's talk about disadvantages. The biggest disadvantage is you have to be able to understand the types of handicaps. And depending on the type of handicap, say you see that there is a huge foundation crack, say 25 feet. You need to be able to get an estimate to get that whole thing fixed, and if that is going to work out, then you will be able to work through that handicap. But if you don't have an estimate and you just jump in and then figure out that, oh, the foundation issue was worth $100,000, there is that big variance and it will damage your financial situation and it will take away all the financial benefit that you thought you had. So that's the big disadvantage. The second big disadvantage is that you will have to bring in the entire money in full cash when you're buying this property and fixing it up. So you might get a 20% down payment loan. Say for $1 million property, you get only pay 20% down payment, and for a $1.5 million property, you'd pay 20% down payment, right? So for a $1.5 million property, the 20% down payment would be $300,000. Whereas for $1 million property, the down payment is $200,000. So there is a $100,000 delta for a made-up property and a fixer-upper property. But if you need to bring in $200,000 to fix it up, the landed price will be cheaper. You bought it for $1 million, you landed it for $1.2 million because you spent $200,000 on it, and the realized value will be 1.5. Now, but your down payment is going to be $200,000 in the base and $200,000 for the fixes. So you are going to have to bring in $400,000. So you need to consider this aspect, whether you're already having that much amount of money and reserves to be able to take this project and run it. So that's the second disadvantage. And the third disadvantage is there may not be lenders that will even fund your property. In that case, you have to find lenders that will work on these particular properties. I've been through several of these. And we brought lenders to the table that will take care of these issues. It could be foundation issues, it could be roof, it could be HOA, being in a lawsuit. There are lots of these kinds of handicaps. Now, before I proceed, please, if you like it, click like, hit subscribe, and share this video with people that you think this will help. Next, let's look at the types of handicaps. And we are going to go from easy to the tough. The easiest handicap is physical, foundation crack, or the property has deferred maintenance, leaking plumbing in the crawl space, and all of those. So that's the very easy one. Buy it, fix it, and the property goes back into routine condition. But these properties, when they are listed as fixers, watch out. There will be 100 people trying to jump at it as an opportunity. The second category of handicaps is those when the property is on a busy street, the property is had a death because of suicide or murder. A lot of people these days believe in just like the murder thing, and people then don't have to disclose for 3 years that there was a death on the property. And if that death on the property matters to a lot of people, because some people believe in ghosts or feeling inauspicious about those properties, in that case, that stigma can go away. But something being on the busy street is going to be a permanent stigma, and you're going to always have to discount the price for being on busy street. You are going to have to sit on the market. A lot of times people don't even come and buy that property or do not want to look on the property, and those are the issues with those handicaps. In some cases, I have seen clients worry about property being by the freeway, and then because of the vibrations, those properties will have health issues for the owners. Or there is a third case of properties being by HVAC lines, and there is literature that says, oh, HVAC lines don't cause much damage, but there have been cases where they said leukemia or childhood leukemia could be caused by being near high tension lines all the time. So, for those people that look at these aspects, one, those lines look ugly. I had a client who said, oh, those lines look ugly and I don't want to buy those. Or even in that neighborhood where there are those many lines. Number two, if there are those health effects which we may know today or we do not know, that's going to be a problem. And number three, you of course are going to have a problem with the resale because it reduces the buyer pool, potential buyer pool that will come to the property. So all of these things happen. So how do you deal with all these? The first thing that we do is work with a professional who understands and brings these aspects into play, explains the impact of these things to you, and helps you by providing contractors if these are physical issues, helps you understand the depth or the effects of the other handicaps like death on the property. You don't have to disclose the death on the property if it is more than 3 years past. It's not a legal requirement as of today. So that's probably an easier one to jump over, because in 5 to 7 years when you sell the property, that's not a stigma anymore and you will be free to sell it over. So that's again another opportunity type thing. But there are cases where people are believing more and more in Feng Shui, or they are believing more and more in Vastu, and because they are doing that, they have stopped buying certain properties or they do not prefer those properties. And if you land up into one of those, then that will be another stigma. But this stigma is not explicit. Nobody has a legal requirement to disclose the stigma, and then it becomes an even deeper issue. So it's extremely important to work with an agent who understands all these aspects and alerts you to the effects, the estimates, how to overcome these, whether they are you can even overcome them, and then make a judicious decision. So these are all the aspects. So you can go and buy a property with a handicap. I get it. But if you watch this entire video now, you will understand the complexities. You will be able to plan it out as to how this will be, you can make it work or happen, and you will be able to get the best results by working with a professional who has negotiated with a lot of these situations and will be able to help you walk through that situation. I hope this video was helpful, and if you think it was, please share it with your friends who need it. Thanks for watching. See you on my next one. Bye.